Let's talk about point slope, or slope for a moment. Slope is a measure of steepness of a line and is denoted by the letter lowercase m. If a non-vertical line passes through 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, then the slope of the line is given by the change in the y, or delta y, over the change in x, or delta x. The change in the y-axis is the vertical one, so that we call this the rise. The horizontal axis, or the x-axis, is the run. The change in the y is y2 minus y1. The change in the x is x2 minus x1. If a line rises from left to right, the slope is positive. If a line falls from left to right, it is negative. For a horizontal line, the slope is 0, and for a vertical line, the slope is undefined. The slope-intercept form of an equation is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point at which your graph hits your vertical or y-axis. So what is the slope and y-intercept of this? Y equals. Whenever you see an equation solved for y, it's in the or a linear equation solved for y, it's in the point-slope form. mx plus b. We'll line it up. The m is the number next to the x. Well, that means 3 must be m, which is slope. Plus b. b is the number by itself with no variable attached. Well, line it up. This must be my b. This is the y-intercept. Keep in mind that for the y-intercept, that's a point on this vertical y-axis at positive 8. At positive 8, there's a point that you're going to touch, which means I can talk about the ordered pair here. Well, the ordered pair for this point here would be 0, 8. Said another way, it's 0, b. Whatever b is going to go here, so this point would be 0, 8. What is the slope and y-intercept of this line? Well, first of all, the easiest thing to do would be to solve for y. Why am I solving for y? So that I can have it into this point-slope form, so that I can easily pick out the m, easily pick out the b. Go ahead and divide out the 3. Please don't forget you do have to do this to every single object. Divide the 3 to each, not every object. Again, so this is in y equals mx plus b form. Line it up. The number next to the x is negative 2. Well, that must mean that this is my m, my slope. If you want to put this as a fraction, it's negative 2 over 1. The b is the number by itself. Well, that must be my 2/3. My ordered pair is 0, 2/3. Next, they want me to find the slope between 2 points. Anytime you're given ordered pairs, the first thing you do is label them. This is x1, y1, my first point, x2, y2, my second point. The equation for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, when you labeled your points, it's simple to look in and find which one you're picking up. If you do not label them, more often than not, you'll make the mistake of picking up the wrong number. Well, what's my y2? Go up and look, and I see that it's 8. Bring your subtraction symbol over. Now go see what y1 is. It's a 1. x2, go up and look. 6. Bring your negative over. Bring your subtraction over. x1, now go look. 8 minus 1. 6 minus 0. That means my slope must be 7/6. Again, this is the idea of rise over run. The graph of an equation in slope-intercept form, first you identify the slope of the line and the y-intercept. You plot the intercept, then you use your slope. Equations for horizontal lines, namely, are y equals number, or b. For a vertical line, x equals number, which is, the number would be the x-intercept. A couple of things on parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals. Negative means opposite sign. Reciprocal means flip the value. Okay. Note that vertical lines are parallel to vertical and perpendicular to horizontal. Horizontal lines are parallel to horizontal and perpendicular to vertical. Slopes in parallel lines. If two non-vertical lines are parallel, then they have the same slope. If two distinct non-vertical lines have the same slope, then they are parallel. Two distinct vertical lines, both with undefined slopes, are parallel. Undefined slopes, remember these are vertical lines. Slopes in perpendicular lines. If two non-vertical lines are perpendicular, then the product of their slopes is -1, i.e. their perpendicular lines have negative reciprocals. If a product of a slope is -1, then the lines are indeed perpendicular. A horizontal line having a slope of 0 is perpendicular to a vertical line having an undefined slope. So let's look at a couple of problems on how to graph, and then we'll get to how to graph and work with parallel and perpendicular lines. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find 2 points on this line. The 2 points we're going to find are the intercepts. We're going to find the x-intercept, and we're going to find the y-intercept. No, I'm sorry. Let's do this the way we were doing it. We could do it this way, but we haven't talked about that in this section. So let's take this equation and let's solve for y. I apologize about that. We'll get to this x-intercept, y-intercept in another section. Let's solve for y. Move the 6 over and divide by the 3. So y equals, oh, this is like y equals number. Y equals number is a horizontal line at that value. This has a slope of 0. Horizontal lines have slopes of 0. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line at a value, y value of -2. So here at -2, I will draw a horizontal line. Maybe you can see that a little better now. Okay. Let's look at another one. This is x equals 7. X equals number. Well, this is a vertical line. At that value. Slope is undefined. So I want to draw this line now. I know that this is a vertical line at the value of 7. So I'm going to come here to my x-axis of positive 7. And I'll just draw my vertical line. Okay. Now let's say if we want to find the equation of a line, working with those parallels and perpendiculars. So, now, finding the equation of a line and writing the equation in slope-intercept form. Now remember, slope-intercept form is the y equals mx plus b that we just talked about. First, you will be given at least 1 point that goes on the line. Then you'll also be given enough information to find the slope if the slope is not already given to you. Once you have a point and a slope, you plug it into point-slope form, and we can then find the equation of the line that we're looking at. Point-slope form, it's y minus y1 equals m, your slope, x minus x1. x1 and y1 are the coordinates of the known point, and m is the slope of the line. X and y's are just variables in the equation. Again, to solve, use the point-slope form, substitute your known values, rearrange the equation to be in standard form, ax plus by equals c, or slope-intercept form. Again, this is how to find the equations of a line. So find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form if the slope is 2/3, m is 2/3, and the line passes through this point. Again, the first thing that you do anytime you are given a point is you label it. I have a point, I have a slope, so I should use point slope. Y minus y1, m, x minus x1. Well, so that's going to be y minus, go find what your y1 is, 7/6 equals m, 2/3, x, bring your subtraction symbol down, x1, 0. Now we simplify the problem. Y minus 7/6 equals 2/3 x, 2/3 times 0 goes away. Now we can rearrange to solve for y, because it says in slope-intercept form. That means it wants it solved for y. All I'd have to do then is move the 7/6 over. Well, now this looks like mx plus b. M is the number next to the x, so m is 2/3. Rise over run. B is the number by itself, so this must be my b. Ordered pair, 0, 7/6. Okay, let's look at another one. Let's look at the line passing through these 2 points. Notice that this time I wasn't given a slope, but I was given enough information to find it. Again, anytime you are given points, the first thing you do is you label them. Now for this one, I need a point, I need a slope. I have plenty of points, but I don't have the slope, so I need to find my slope. Use my slope equation and start plugging in. y2 is a -2. Bring your subtraction symbol over. Now go see what y1 is. y1 is a -3. x2. Go see what x2 is. 2. Bring your subtraction symbol over. Now go see what x1 is. 1. 2 negatives up at the top. 2 negatives now become positive. So I have -2 plus 3. 2 minus 1. -2 plus 3. 1 over 1 would be 1. So now I have my slope. All I need now is a point. I have 2 to choose from. I usually just choose the first one. But up to you. You can choose either one. Now I'm going to plug it into my point-slope form to find the equation. So I have y minus, now go see what y1 is, -3 equals m, that was 1, x minus, now go see what x1 was. 2 negatives become positive, so I have y plus 3, distribute, 1 times x, 1 times -1, finish it out, So I get y equals x minus 4. Well, this is in y equals mx plus b. Again, the m is the number next to the x, and in this case, my m is 1. The b is the number by itself, so in this case, my b is negative 4. Ordered pair, 0, negative 4. Now let's start looking at those parallels and those perpendiculars. This time it says use this line passing through this point. Again, anytime you get a point, you want to label it. And perpendicular to this line. So it's giving me my point and my slope, but it's telling me my slope in a difficult way. First I have to find the slope of this line. Then take the negative reciprocal to get my perpendicular slope. Because we have to remember, perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So let's find the equation of this line in y equals form. And that way we can figure out the slope, then find the perpendicular. So I want to solve for y. Well, now this is in mx plus b. The m here is negative 4. The b here is negative 8. Now, the slope of this line is negative 4, but I would like the perpendicular. So the perpendicular slope is the negative, which means opposite sign. Well, I have a negative up here, which means opposite sign of that would be a positive. Reciprocal means flip this quantity. This is like saying over 1. Well, 4 over 1, flip it, gives me 1 over 4. So I have my perpendicular slope. I have my point to use. So I'm going to be using point slope in order to figure out this equation. Y minus y1, m, x minus x1. And we plug in. Y minus, go see what y1 is, negative 2, m, the one I need, 1/4, x minus, go see what x1 is. I'll tell you the biggest mistake that you'll make is that you will not write down your negative symbol first. You will simply go and look, and you might be off by a sign. Be careful of that. 2 negatives make positives. So I have y plus 2, 1/4, x plus 3. We're going to distribute 1/4 x, distribute 3/4. Let's go ahead and finish this out for solving for y. 1/4 x, 3/4 minus 2. Y equals 1/4 x plus, oops, I'm sorry. And that's why we have white out. 1/4 x, 3/4 and minus 2, negative 5/4. Let me tell you a side note. 3/4 minus 2 can be made 2 over 1. I need a common denominator between 1 and 4. That would be a 4. How do I change a 1 to a 4? Multiply by 4. But what you do to the bottom, you must also do to the top. Fraction multiplication, straight across. 2 times 4. 1 times 4. Now they have the same denominator, make it one big fraction. 3 minus 8, negative 5 over 4. And that's how I got my fraction over here. This is in the form mx plus b. M is the number next to your x, so my slope is a 4th. b is the number by itself, so my b is negative 5/4. Okay, let's look at another one, this time talking about parallel. Parallel lines have the same slope, so the first thing I want to do is I want to find the slope of this line. To find the slope of this line, we're going to solve for y. This is y equals number. Oh, that's a horizontal line. Oh, what kind of slopes do horizontal lines have? Oh, I remember. They have a slope of 0. Now I want the parallel slope. Oh, that means my slope will also be 0. I have a point. We label it. We use the equation point slope. Y minus y1, x minus x1, and we plug in. y1 is 5. My slope is 0. X minus, go see what x1 is, negative 6. Two negatives make a positive. But 0 times anything is 0. Solving for y, I get 5. Well, this is a horizontal line at 5. Well, aren't horizontal lines parallel to horizontal lines? And yes, that checks out. The last one we're going to do is a little bit more complicated in that it's parallel to this line and same y-intercept as this one. So it wants the slope from here and the b from here. So let's find this slope. What I'm going to do is I'm simply just going to solve for y. 7 over negative 7 will give you negative 1x. The slope for this line is negative 1. I want the parallel slope. The parallel lines have the same slope, so I want my slope to be negative 1. Here, I want the b of this line. Well, again, solve for y. Finish this out. So the b is a number by itself, so the b here, or y-intercept, is negative 7/3. So I want y equals mx plus b. Well, I have my m is negative 1 for num x plus my b, negative 7/3. Cleaning this up just a bit. And here we have our finished equation. Using the slope that's parallel to this and the y-intercept of this equation. Simply putting it together in the slope-intercept form.